Hello, friends. Jack recently out of the shower but hasn't bothered to put on a shirt on today. Yes, I am wearing pants, though. Here's proof for you sickos out there trying to think otherwise. It's time to read some Reddit stories. Let's begin! This story by cardiologist FAR5239. It began about 20 days ago with a recent update just earlier this week. My old stalker is back, and my husband is making me feel like I'm the crazy one. Hi, sorry, this is my first time writing in, and I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to jump in. I'm using a throwaway because I'm sure my actual account is being watched. Also, fake names for anonymity. So I, 32 female, and my husband, 33 male, have been arguing a lot recently over my old stalker. For some background, back in college, I was 24. I dated a guy, let's call him Fred, for around 2 months. Fred was interesting to say the least. To save time, he had several red flags once we started dating, so I dumped him. Fred acted like he couldn't care less, so I thought that was that. A few months go by, and I'm starting to see Fred everywhere. I see him at the grocery store I go to, my go-to nail place, my favorite restaurants, etc. I thought it was just a weird coincidence, so I left it at that. A year after our breakup, he starts messaging me, telling me that he was happiest with me and that he misses me so much. I called BS and I blocked him. But then things escalated. Fred changed numbers every time I blocked him, made new social media accounts, and I started seeing his car everywhere. I tried getting a restraining order against Fred, but since he hadn't done anything to me, they couldn't do anything. A few months later, I was walking to my car at night. Fred coincidentally saw me walking alone and offered me a ride home. I said no, that I had my own car, and kept walking. Fred proceeded to get out of his car and tried pushing me to his car. I punched him and ran to my car. I drove away, and luckily he didn't follow. I tried again to get a restraining order, but it was basically his word against mine. They gave me a temporary restraining order, but that's it. I was terrified of even walking outside and deleted all my socials. Thankfully, a very close friend, let's call him Pete, stepped in to defend me. Pete ended up threatening Fred, and I finally stopped hearing from Fred. I felt free and slowly got back into my normal life. But now to present day. I'm now married to my husband. I graduated from college and live alone with my husband. We moved to a nearby city and bought a house together. Sadly, a month ago, Pete died during his sleep, and I was absolutely devastated. I've known Pete since I was in high school, and he was my closest friend. To be honest, I'm still not over his death, and sometimes I can't believe he's gone. But guess who heard about his death? That's right, folks. Fred found out, and he's now back. I received texts from Fred a few days after Pete died. I now see him everywhere, and he's insisting we talk. I just walk away and ignore him. I've reported him, but nothing has happened, so I deleted my socials again. Friends have been telling me Fred has been asking around about me. He's asked if I moved, what am I doing lately, if I have other social media accounts, etc. I'm honestly terrified. I've moved since I finished college, but somehow I see him at my gym, grocery store, park, etc. It honestly makes me believe he never stopped watching me, and it's terrifying. I've told my husband about everything, and he says I'm overreacting or just plain ignores my concerns and changes the subject. I've argued that he doesn't care, and he argues back, asking what do I expect him to do. He says that Fred doesn't know where we live and that we'll just change gyms. My husband is telling me to just change my regular routine and stop going to certain places. He says it's no big deal and Fred is harmless. But I'm like, Fred tried to force me into his car? How is that harmless? My husband has been distant ever since this started, and I feel alone. I don't want to tell my friends in fear they will tell Fred. I can't go to my family because I'm in no contact with them, and of course, my husband couldn't care less. I need advice. What do I do? Am I crazy? Should I just change my gym and my routine like how my husband says? Part of me just wants to completely move, but another part is basically asking myself, why do I have to uproot my life and change everything because of him? Can't he just leave me alone? It's been like 10 years already, and I want to move on from this. Should I just talk to Fred, hoping he'll finally leave me alone? Now, with all this history, it is understandable that the biggest comment support is, I would actually consider divorce over this. The way your husband is completely dismissing your very valid fears would be a deal breaker for me. He says Fred is harmless. Ask him what makes him believe that. The fact he is telling you to just change your routine just makes my blood boil. If you change your routine, the stalker feels satisfaction because he is able to control part of your life by what he is doing. And that is the consensus here that, what your husband should have done is exactly what Pete did for you all those years ago. Sounds like both he and Fred are spineless cowards. If your husband isn't going to support and protect you, his wife, you need to divorce. You cannot stay with someone you don't trust to support and protect you. Opie does respond to this, saying that, my husband's excuse is that the law will protect me, and if Fred tries anything, he'll end up in jail. It pisses me off when he says that. Do I have to end up in a ditch to be finally taken seriously? Yeah, Mr. Husband, as much as I am thankful to live in a world where one is innocent until proven guilty, because, imagine the precedent that'll set doing it the other way around. But you still have to agree that the fact that this guy Fred can get away with this stuff purely because, he hasn't killed her yet, is a pretty messed up sort of standard for us to have. Essentially, what OP needs is evidence that he's someone who is of a threat, of danger to her. But as you'll find out in the update, it actually turns out the husband is actually on top of this. Firstly though, got a shout out to this great advice from the comments. See, Fred hides from the strong and chases the weak. You are already playing by his rules to present yourself as a perfect target. You can't change him and his game, but you can recast yourself as someone he hides from. Restart all your socials and post endless pics of you practicing shooting your gun at the range. Draw a face on melons and practice your lunge thrust through the eye. Brag how you can always carry a pocket knife now, even when you are carrying your sidearm. Tag Fred's socials each time. Post how your Krav Maga teacher just showed you how to kill a rapist by slicing off their engorged dick and letting them bleed out. Tag Fred. Whenever a friend mentions Fred, say you are meditating to prepare yourself mentally to end your Fred problem permanently. If they follow up, just repeat you will do what you have to. Then every time you see Fred, call the cops and tell them a drugged-up psycho stalker is threatening himself and others. Every time. Immediately. No matter where you are. Every time. Immediately. Tell the cops you think he has a gun. Stare into his eyes when you do it. You are lucky your stalker is a coward. Use that. Now, while I don't endorse threatening people's lives, there's nothing wrong with being enthusiastic about guns and knives and how to cut off certain organs. It's just a hobby. People are allowed to have hobbies, okay? So, a day passes that we get the first update. Small update and some more information about my stalker situation. I'm still new to posting on Reddit, so for the first part of my post it should be on my account. My friends don't talk to Fred, and they are aware of the situation now. Fred has reached out to them randomly, asking about me. They have reported and blocked him as well. Now, for the update. Last night, I decided to have a serious conversation with my husband one last time. I sat down with him and explained the whole situation again. I told him how scared I've been and that he needs to take this seriously. I wanted to show him how terrified I was, how small I've been made to feel, not just by Fred, but also him, how his lack of support and concern for my own safety is making me question our marriage. I asked if he'd even do anything if I was found in a ditch. He was silent the whole time while looking at the floor. We sat in silence for a few minutes before I got up to pack my things. My husband proceeded to cry. He apologized and said he'd make this right. He said he didn't want to overreact in fear of scaring me more, but in reality, it made me feel alone. My husband, it turns out, has been looking into Fred without my knowledge and has found out where he works, lives, and even Fred's family contact information. He wanted to gather more information about Fred before contacting a lawyer. We're both taking a few days off of work to get our ducks in a row. We're getting a lawyer and gathering evidence of Fred's harassment. We're also currently looking for a therapist so we can both talk about this whole situation and other issues we have in our marriage. I also actually have some voicemails Fred has left me, and I officially think he's lost it. I have an Apple iPhone, and you're able to see voicemails from blocked numbers. Now, some of the messages are of him saying straight up gibberish with others, or as if he's having a conversation with me. He says things like, "Oh yeah, babe, I get off work late, so tonight is a no-go." Or, "I'm off so you can come pick it up right now." No. Yeah. I don't know. I can't do this anymore. There's a lot of fashion in my life. It sounds like he's having a conversation, but it's no one else. It's just him, and it's terrifying. My husband does feel bad and is trying his best to console me. He has apologized repeatedly for making me feel lonely and has been more supportive and open. Currently, he's looking through my car to check if there's anything that might be giving my location to Fred. I'll keep you all updated if we find anything or if anything else happens. Thank you all for your advice and support. So there's your lesson, husbands out there. Don't do shadow work. Don't do things behind your partner's back to surprise her with later, like, "Surprise, I've been helping you out and on your side this entire time." Just say it from the get-go. I mean, all the comments took a complete 180 now. I just read your original post, and I'm happy that your husband is taking it as seriously as he should and has your back. Like, yeah, man, you're lucky she was willing to actually talk to you first before literally ending the marriage. Now, others bring up the whole possible locator issue. AirTags can be very small. If you have the means, take your car to a mechanic and tell him you have a stalker. They can check up on the wheel wells of the car and the like. Check your purse too, just in case. I think there's an app that you can download that will scan for low-frequency devices like trackers tend to be. I'm glad your husband apologized and is finally taking this seriously. With Opie leaving a final remark that my car is currently at the mechanics getting checked out, thank you so much for this advice. And that's all we were left with for about the next 10 or so days, bringing us to the latest update. Thank you to everyone who gave me advice and encouragement. I finished listening to the book The Gift of Fear, and it really opened my eyes to a lot. Now onto the update. After my husband didn't find anything in my car, I still felt something wrong, so I took people's advice and took my car to the mechanic, told my mechanic about my situation, and he could take a look at my car. And to my horror, a couple of days later, my mechanic found a small little cube that was placed hidden under my car. At first, I really wanted to believe it was just part of my car or something, but my mechanic explained that it wasn't, and it was deliberately hidden. The cube is really small and magnetic. I called my lawyer right then and told them everything. I got pictures of the GPS and where it was placed. I thanked the mechanic and drove to my lawyer's office. At this point, I was shaking and wanted to cry. How long had the GPS been there? How long has Fred been following me without me knowing? Was he watching me at that moment? Is he going to add another one? I called my husband to meet me at the lawyer's office and told him everything. At the office, I just wanted to disappear. I wanted to run away and not look back. I was terrified and I felt so violated, knowing I was being watched for who knows how long. With everything we had gathered, my lawyer was able to get a temporary restraining that same day. We are currently going through the process of getting a full restraining order where I will have to go to court and see Fred again. My lawyer says the process can be long and draining, but it's something I do need to get for my own safety. I got a bit scared and had my husband's car also checked for anything. Thankfully, nothing was found in his car. I started feeling watched at home, so I had my whole house turned upside down, looking for anything maybe Fred had placed. Again, thankfully nothing was found. I've told neighbors about what we have found, and to keep an eye out for anyone suspicious. I've also started my safety training for handling a gun and shooting, and still trying to get my CCW, but it can be a long process. Thank you again for everyone who has given me advice, and I'll keep you updated if Creepy Fred tries anything. So, somewhat of a happy ending at least, that there's no impending divorce, and also Fred is getting what is deserved of him. On to the next story. I, 26 female, think my husband, 30 male, might be spying on me while on business trips. I can't really prove it, but certain instances have made me suspicious. My husband, Henry, and I have been married for almost 2 years, together for 5. We have a pretty normal relationship, and I've always felt that we share mutual trust in each other. We've never broken up, and I can't think of one situation where he would feel that I'm not trustworthy. I feel like I'm going crazy over this. Henry's career usually requires him to travel rarely, but this year is an exception. His company is in the middle of reorganization, and he has been traveling to do training seminars about once a month. His trips are usually Monday to Sunday. I've confirmed these trips, and yes, these are legitimate. I'd say we have been handling it well, but the past few months, my husband's been doing weird things that have caused me to believe he's spying on me or showing controlling tendencies. The first incident was in the end of March when my husband came home and asked how my friend was doing with the death of her dog. At first, I said that she was sad but doing okay. About a minute later, I asked how he knew that, and he said social media. The only reason I asked this was because I had a phone call in the living room with my friend when the dog died. Not only that, but my friend had deactivated her page before the dog died, so it wouldn't have been on there. I'm the only mutual friend he had with her as well, so I don't think he would see anything that she was tagged in. I asked him if he's watching me, as a joke, and he said, seriously, why would you think that? I explained it, and he said, no, it was on social media. I just assumed his defensiveness was because he had jet lag. The second incident was in April when I went out with my friends during the weekend. That Saturday night, I had texted him that I would let him know when I'm home, and it should be around 12:30 a.m. I got home earlier, at about 11 p.m., and fiddled around in the kitchen for probably 20 minutes. I'll admit, I forgot to text him. I got a text at about 11:20 that said, "You're home?" I told him yes, that I was straightening the kitchen and then going to bed. I asked how he knew, and he said he just figured you would be already. He told me good night, and I went to bed. Normally, I wouldn't think anything of this, but this latest incident has me looking back on the past few months. Henry got home early from this month's trip on Friday. I was super excited because he doesn't have a trip until September. When he got home, he asked what I did all week. I explained all of my activities when he said, "Did you have any friends over?" I said no, and he said, "Oh, really?" I said yes, and at that point I was really confused because I truly didn't have any friends over. He just huffed and stormed off. Again, I assumed he was just tired. I went into the bedroom and asked if he was okay, and he said that he was. Later that night, we were talking about my week, and I mentioned my brother dropped off some photo albums of my dad. He passed away, and that I wanted to show him some. Henry said, "Oh, your brother was here. Okay," and then mumbled, "That makes sense," as he walked away. Now, I have really good hearing, and I don't think he thought I'd hear it. If he had a camera, is it possible that he could have heard a male voice and assumed it was another male friend? My brother didn't come in the house, but we talked on the front porch with the front door open. I feel crazy just typing this. Sunday, because he was at his mum's, I decided to try and look around. I didn't want to be too obvious, so I kind of just nonchalantly walked around, looking at things, accidentally knocking things over and looking at them when I picked them up, etc. I'm sure it was obvious because I got a call from him asking what I was doing. I told him I was just hanging out when he said, "Doing what?" I told him I was watching TV. I did have the TV turned on. There was a pause, and he said, "I'm leaving soon. I'll be home in 20 minutes. He was supposed to be there for 3 more hours. Please someone tell me I'm overreacting and this is not strange. Am I digging too far into this? I don't know how he would know about my friend's dog and that I was home early the one night. There's got to be something going on, right? He's never acted like this before February. It's weird. I get home after him during the week, so I don't get too much time alone, aside from showers, bathroom visits, etc. Help? So, understandably, a lot of suspicion here. Why would he have all these set up? He clearly thinks that she's going to use this, Monday to Sunday long trips as a chance to cheat on him, I suppose. He's afraid of that. Some comments were saying, I don't know how savvy he is, but if he did that to your home, there's also a fairly good chance that he could have installed something on your computer. Others also thought that maybe he's done something to OP's phone, to which OP's told us that I'd say he's pretty savvy. He's in IT, and just from watching him do things around the house, he seems to know a lot. None of my phone apps look weird. I also don't have many on it. I don't use my personal one too much. It's old and doesn't work half the time. I'm borrowing my mum's. Which, okay, as comments say, the fact that he's in IT is super relevant. If anything, it gives more evidence and justification to suspect him of possibly doing something to the house. Now, for a while though, OP just kind of disappeared, which got some people to be a bit concerned, wondering why we haven't heard from OP in quite a few hours, which OP did let us know that no worries, I'm just super busy with work. Thanks though, planning on getting to the bottom of this soon. Now, unfortunately, this soon is over 9 years ago. So, however this was resolved, I hope OP is okay. Fingers crossed that they're just extremely ashamed that all their suspicions were true and that they actually were dealing with what was essentially a very crazy and, anxiously riddled man having to resort to spying on their partner just to feel rest assured that their relationship is secure. I mean, talk about shooting yourself in the foot. Anyway, friends, might end today's video there. Thank you, as always, for watching. Hope you be good and have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, I love your face. Bye-bye for now.